So this is a video highlighting why Ready, Set, Go is important. It talks about evacuations and how scary it can be. This is a pretty scary video.
Looks like someplace we've been.
If you live on a hillside or any wildfire-prone community, you probably worry about how you're going to evacuate during a wildfire, especially since many of the roads are narrow and winding with vegetation alongside of them. Hi, my name is Mark Brown with the Marin Wildfire. This video is intended to show you how to evacuate safely and use the same tactics that firefighters do in these difficult situations. Let's imagine that you live high on a hill and a fire is starting to burn. You see an alert that a fire is spreading in your direction. The fire is moving up the hill towards your home, and you are evacuating in your car. How do you evaluate your best move? The most important thing you can do is to stay calm. People tend to panic and make rash decisions that put them into even worse situations. So I want to help you think through some threatening conditions and show you wise choices to make. This pre-planning will help you keep your wits about you when you need them most. To make life-saving decisions, you need to know a few basics about wildfire behavior. First, fire travels uphill. Heat rises, and wildfire tends to move uphill along pathways of continuous fuels. That includes vegetation and structures. You probably noticed that wind speed picks up with elevation, causing wildfires to gain speed and intensity as it climbs. Your goal is to make it down the hill. So you must evacuate downhill to feel safety. With the fire below you, this may seem counterintuitive, even crazy. I assure you, it's not. Going uphill away from the fire will only lead you to more dangerous areas, higher winds, more intense fire, and fewer options. Many people think that fire roads are a good evacuation route. They are not. Fire roads are meant to get equipment and firefighters up to high-risk places. They do not lead to safety, and it could be a fatal choice. The next thing I want to emphasize is to please stay in your car as you evacuate. Your car provides protection from heat and flames. Firefighters use their vehicles as a place of refuge when they need protection, and your car provides the same function. Contrary to what we see in the media, very few people actually die in their cars during evacuations. There are tragic exceptions, but most of those burned out cars you see in the news were abandoned and pushed off the roads before they ever burned. The real story is that the vast majority of people who survive wildfires get out of their cars. Many people don't trust this advice. They think they can outrun or outmaneuver a fire on foot. Think of the heat and the burning embers that are falling all around you and the speed at which the fire can rip through an area. You don't want to be out there unprotected. I would never leave my car unless it becomes disabled or catches on fire. If that happens, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for another vehicle that I can get into and hopefully be protected by that vehicle. If I can't find another vehicle that I can get into, I can look for something like this embankment here, that I can get into this embankment, down into this ditch, and I can get as low as I can, even face down in this ditch. It's going to protect me from the heat. It's also going to give me some oxygen that I can breathe. But let's hope you never have to do that, and then you can stay in your car and get the safety and protection that your car provides. The second thing I want to teach you about wildfire is that fire progresses along pathways determined by terrain, wind channels, and fuel loads. When I'm working with new recruits, I tell them to imagine the pathways water flows down the mountain or hill. Think of the erosion paths that carve out crevices in the terrain. Fire is a fluid and follows the same pathways up, pushed by the wind, and increases its speed as it climbs. Winding roads are a series of in-turns and out-turns, with some straightaways in between. Here's an outturn. Notice the down slope is on a protruding bulge along the hill. The wind will channel away from this outturn in favor of this crevice over here. The wind carries fire up this chute with the intern at the top. I took this footage right into an intern during the campfire. You can see how the wind is driving the fire straight up the chute. Look how long the flames are. They're bending over the road and they ignite vegetation on the other side. You don't want to be in this type of turn when you see fire there. So I backed up just a few feet from the intern and I was perfectly safe and I was able to pause and let the fire burn past.
Interesting.
So let me show you what I'm talking about. Coming up here, we have an outturn. And what you see is that I'm turning away from the downslope. The downslope is over here, and I'm turning away from it. At this spot, the fire doesn't really want to burn intensely. It's not going to come up this slope, it's going to go into this canyon. It's going to get drawn into this canyon, which I know means that there is an intern that's coming up. So I'm going to go nice and slow. I'm looking down into the canyon, and I'm looking to the other side of this intern to make sure it is safe. So that I look around, I see that it's safe. I can see the other side, and so I'm going to come through. And now here's a perfect example of an intern. As you can see, I'm turning in the direction of the downslope. And this spot right here is where the fire is going to burn most intensely. The wind and the heat is contoured through this intern and right through here. So I really want to get through this area. And now, as I exit the intern, I'm back into a spot where I'm safe. And remember, while evacuating, slow is fast. Making these strategic pauses and making sound decisions as I go down the slope will get you downhill safely. If we have a fire that's in this intern that we're approaching, and I don't want you to go through an intern and fire it, what do? We have several options. One of them is to wait here, because as the fire moves through this chute, through this intern, it's going to consume the fuel quickly. And your wait period might be kind of short. And you can wait for the fuel to go through, and then you can pass through. Also, once fuel is already burned, once an area is already burned, there's no fuel left. That can be one of your safest places to be. So that's why going slow and waiting may be your best option. But we also have to use common sense. If this spot right here is just too hot to stay, you have more options. One of the options would be, if you know that your neighbor has done a great job with defensible space, that could be an area of temporary refuge for you. Or you can find a location where an intersection, two roads coming together, where you have a bunch of pavement and clearing. That could be another temporary refuge area for you. And then finally, tucking up against this embankment right here helps bring you away from the slope and it helps to shield you from the heat. And this could be a spot to wait until the fuel burns out of the chute, and then you can go through. What I'd like you to do on your daily drives to and from your house is to identify locations of relative safety. Remember, these aren't destinations, these are just a place to stay for a little bit so you can be safe. It's worth noting that places of relative safety depend on you and your neighbors taking care of vegetation on your property or roads. Make your driveway a safe place to wait it out while the fire burns past. Creating defensive space is one of those things you can control ahead of time. Please do it. Many people ask me what to do if a tree is blocking the only way out. The answer: stay in your car, pull those road places of relative safety, and call 911. Let the dispatcher know exactly where you are and what's going on. We'll do our best to send equipment through evacuation. If it's safe, you can wait there. If the fire is approaching, you may need to backtrack to safety or towards another way out. Remember, this is the time you to stop, pause, assess the situation, and make your next best move. That next best move might be to move towards places already burned. And finally, a word about traffic. Traffic jams in and of themselves are not dangerous. Be patient. Give your cars in front of you space Don't push people ahead of you in turns. You don't see what they see ahead of you. If someone's tailgating you too closely, give extra space to the person in front of you. You need room to navigate each turn independently. And make sure you can make it all the way across in turn before entering. If you live on a hillside, I want you to get ready for wildfire evacuations by doing the following. 1. Identify every in-turn and out-turn on your route downhill. 2. Identify places of relative safety along the way. And 3. Clear vegetation on your property near the road. Please pay attention to the weather and fire conditions. On red flag days, when it's dry and windy, be ready to go. If you're concerned about making it down the hill, consider reading if you receive an evacuation warning. You don't need to wait for the evacuation order. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. And if you have any questions, please email us at info@ringwildfire.org. Thank you, and stay safe.
With all my experience in the fire service, when I watch this video and I see them actually driving through the fire and the embers, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, like when we talk and we do this fire safe, we talk about these things, and like, do you guys realize that this is like what we're building up towards? And it's really hard to like visualize that. And when we talk about the ready, set, go, one of the things he says, it's common sense. You got to use common sense. This is something that you can do. In the Ready, Set, Go, it talks about defensible space, talks about home hardening, having your go bag, having your evacuation routes. I love how he says, you don't have to wait for the evacuation order to get out of your house. If you can get ahead of it, and you can get on the road and not spend a lot of time looking for the birth certificates and those very important things, boom, you get in the car and you go before the evacuation order, you're not going to be involved in that type of environment. But if we delay, we're not prepared, that could be a reality. That's a reality for a lot of people in wildfire. We do not want that for us. I do not want that for my kids. I do not want that for me. So let's take it seriously. Let's get this ready, set, go. Let's talk about evacuation planning.
So I'm just going to briefly talk about evacuation. A lot of it's been mentioned already, but the main takeaway I see from that video is evacuate early. And you're all ready, you have your go bags, so you don't have to wait for the evacuation order. You can get an evacuation warning, and if you know that you live in a difficult area to evacuate, then evacuate early so we can do our job. We have, like Assistant Fire Marshal Kane mentioned, we're working on evacuation routes and planning and working on maps for different neighborhoods in San Diego. The main takeaway right now is to have a primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency route. So that's going to mean freeways, then your arterial, then your collector roads, and then narrow roadways. So first, and a lot of it's just going to be like, your regular traffic patterns. That's what's going to be happening when you have an evacuation. So go to the freeway if you can first, then you're going to go to, your next major roadways. Also, and I know this is not, this doesn't relate to everybody here, but like the video mentioned, travel downhill. Away from the direction of the fire spread, pay attention to the wind. So this all has to do with intel, which our next slide is going to go over. And this has been mentioned a few times, but how many of you have a Genesis app?
Which app?
Genesis. Okay, so we're going to have the QR code, and you can download that app. Really cool thing about it is you can put in where your home is. Even if you have multiple homes, you can put that location in, and then it's also geo-referenced. So say if you're traveling, if there's a fire in the area that you're traveling because it's going to see where you're at, but you can also get notifications for where your home is. and stay up to date. There's also watch duty. How many of you have watch duty? So more of you have watch duty. I mean, I have watch duty. I look at it all the time. I don't use Facebook or Instagram, and I look at watch duty, so I'm a nerd. I actually have to admit, I just got Genesis. We use it on the team. We use all the evacuation areas to notify people, but I never used it myself. So I just downloaded Genesis, and now I'm learning how to use the app. You can also put in Alert San Diego. How many of you don't have a smartphone? Got a couple hands here. So if you only have a landline, you can register with San Diego, Alert San Diego. Do you have that already? So you're set to go with that, and that can notify you on your landline. A lot of it's just paying attention. So if you know there's a fire in the area, even if it happens really quickly, worst case scenario, and you don't get an evacuation order or warning, you're paying attention to the winds, you're paying attention to any smoke you see, talking to your neighbors. And if that's a situation, if there's winds, you know, all these last fires that we had, Palisades, Eaton, Lahaina, the winds were all over 50 miles an hour. So if we have high winds, red flag warnings, pay attention those days. And the next slide. So these are all the QR codes. We've got Alert San Diego, Genesis, Watch Duty, Ready, Set, Go, which you should already have, and information sign up, and that's with us. So we can send you emails and any kind of information. And one more slide.
Do you want to give us
We'll go back to that,
Oh,
actually.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can end with this, so you have time to scan the QR codes. Thank you.
You know, so in summary, we're going to close it up, and I'm going to open it up. I'll give you guys my perspective on the WUI code in Zone 0, and how we're going to apply that to the existing homes, and what is the intent behind it. But in regards to what we just presented on, in summary, wildfire risk in San Diego is a reality. We talk about LA, and we talk about these fires, and it's like Santa Ana winds, 50 to 100 mile an hour winds, Embercast. Well, I'll tell you what, the Montezuma fire happened on any given day in San Diego.
Yeah.
Halloween, 74 degrees, wind out of the west at 8 miles per hour. It can happen any day. So we have to remember that. It's not just red flag. That's like we're on high alert. But in San Diego, it's all the time. So how you prepare today determines how your home and your family can withstand tomorrow's wildfire. This is serious stuff. Every cleared branch, sealed vent, evacuation plan strengthens community resilience and gives firefighters the space and the safety that they need to do their job. Defensible space is allowing us to go into your backyard and pull hose lines and not get burned up. We need that for us to do our job. So I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please take action now. Start with the Ready, Set, Go. Just start small. We're looking for progress, not perfection here. We can get there, one step at a time. New year, new commitment, we can do this. Create the defensible space, keep it maintained year round. That's like one of the most important things about Zone 0. We'll kind of get into that right now, whatever. The best thing you can do is maintenance around your house. It's picking up the tree litter, it's pruning your trees, it's getting rid of those ladder fuels. That is some of the low cost, high impact things that you can do tomorrow. So, harden your home using fire resistant materials, build your go kit, practice your evacuation plan with your family, get your alerts. When we're done with this, we're going to go back a slide. We'll have them up there the whole time. I'll kind of highlight some of them. Together, we can make San Diego fire adaptive. Wildfire ready community, one home, one neighborhood at a time. So let's start today, and let's be wildfire prepared. So thank you.